Film Saturday. I'm your old pal, the Moo Cal, and I'm here with
Jonathan A. Moody, your co-host.
And we are going to talk about something of an infamous short film.
Infamous is right.
From Ben Affleck called I Killed My Lesbian Wife, Hung Her on a Meathook, and Now I Have a 3-Picture Deal with Disney. From 1993, released in 1995. And, yeah, I heard about it. I found it on, I don't remember if it was on YouTube.
It was probably on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube.
And I watched it the first time, and I didn't quite get all the way through it. I didn't quite get it, why it was made. And then I was like, okay, well, it's on my disc. We were looking for, there were a few other movies I was actually looking for, but for some reason, they weren't playing, even though we've used this data disc before.
I mean, it's happened before, but like not as much as that.
Yeah.
And it said something random about like, update your YouTube.
Yeah, something like that. It was just weird.
Yeah.
So this was the one that played.
This was the only one. We were like, he was like, I just want one that plays, and I was like, well, how about this one? I know, I've heard, like I heard of it, and then I think I watched it before, because I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. So when Chasing Amy blew up and everything, and I was getting into Ben Affleck, I was like, let me look up Ben Affleck stuff.
And Ben Affleck has a couple of movies that he's directed.
Oh, he's directed a bunch of Gone Girl.
Yeah,
I think,
he's done some good stuff. So I was very curious.
Gone Baby Gone, I think, or whatever.
Especially
like
with a name like that, I'm like, okay, let's check this out.
The Town, yeah, some great movies.
It was just like, what? Why? I guess it's sort of an indictment of the Hollywood system and just how things are made, I think.
I don't know. It was weird.
He didn't write it.
So the main actor, Jay Locopo, I think that's how you say his name, he co-wrote it with another person, Kamala Lopez. And they wrote this movie, and I thought that Kamala Lopez was going to be the actress. Mm-hmm. So like the director and the actress ended up both writing this to give themselves parts.
And they're both sort of like have stories on the side, and then in the last third they come together. Right,
but I almost didn't care about either of their storylines, period, or them coming together. Because first of all, you have the crazy director who has actually killed his wife, hung her up on a meat hook. And
I guess he does kill her later, but at first he's berating her, and we have to go through that.
I thought she was already dead, and then he was just okay. So
because she moves, she was scratching her leg.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I did see that. So she was moving, and so I guess he killed her,
But he berates her. That's mostly what happens in his first
and
section.
He's berating her as if she's talking to him, but she's not talking. Because she's gagged, so she's not even saying anything at all.
And he's talking about how he's finally getting a movie that he's written, directed, and produced, and after all this time of getting $6.50 an hour to process film, I'm like, how did you do that?
Yeah,
I don't understand. Mm-hmm. And if you did, why would you be such an asshole about it?
No. So he ends up kind of berating her, doing all that, and then meanwhile there's this other story with this actress who's locked out of her house because she hasn't paid her rent, and the girl, her roommate, won't let her in. She says she just wants to shower. Guess she wants to talk on the phone with her mom, and just let her mom know what's going on.
Still one of the old plug-in phones.
Yeah, and so she's doing that, and she leaves, I guess, goes to the audition, and there's 4 guys and a old lady who are all just kind of doing the audition and stuff. The lady, I guess, is a reader, and she was really bad because she didn't know to start reading. That was weird. And then on top of that,
and they didn't like the first girl because she was too ethnic.
Well, even before then, they were coming up with other reasons.
Yeah.
And this is where I think it's interesting because it was sort of a mockery of how people were in the Hollywood business, you know.
It's the same period that we were talking about earlier with some of the other stuff, like the Richard Stanley movie and all that 90s time when they were changing over in the player, you know, and they were going from artist-centric to
actor-centric.
Yeah, suit-centric.
Yeah.
And producer-centric and money-centric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, oh, we don't want that girl, she's too... And then they're trying to figure it out, and one person said fat, and I was like, no, not fat, wide. It's like, what? No, not wide. And then said something else, and then she goes, ethnic, that's what it is. And I was like, oh, I knew, I had a feeling that was what it was. And so...
God forbid you have, you know, a Hispanic person playing a Hispanic role.
All right. And then, yeah, she was named Maria, wasn't she? Her character, you know. So, so they get her, they talk about her, and then, it's, like, so frustrating because it was such, there was so much bad stuff that went on in there that were stuff that today's life they're trying to fix, you know. Women getting roles, women not being treated like this, not being called fat in front of people, you know. You've got to be more respectful to people in the workplace, that kind of thing. And then on top of that, you got the LGBTQ stuff, you know, all that stuff.
Because he feels so threatened by her, violence.
No, and then the wife, he kills her and everything because she fell in love with a girl and left him for her, and he felt like embarrassed by that.
You know, this makes me look, not how he feels, but how he looks.
How he looks, because everything's so superficial in that Hollywood landscape.
And then, of course, the first thing he does when he does find the actress that he likes is to try to manipulate him so that she has to go to his house and go over
Even
stuff.
before then, he makes her do like improv, and then has her like at one point she says, "Can I give you a massage?" And I'm like, "Oh God, this is what." Like, there's a documentary out there called Quiet on Set about the guy who worked on Nickelodeon, and he would make his people give them massages and stuff like that, and during the workplace, like he would tell them, "You have to give me a massage," kind of thing. Or,
well, I mean. It's one thing to offer it. It's another thing for the guy to tell you.
Actually, it wasn't that. I think it was like he would say, "Oh, you know, again, you know,
my sciatica."
You know, yeah, that kind of thing. So it was sort of similar to what was going on in this movie, and it kind of creeps me out that like this kind of showed like the behind the scenes of what like people were like then, and it was creepy.
Well, and you shouldn't be getting actresses to give you massages. If you have a sciatic problem or a back problem, you get a freaking masseuse. Because you're a producer or a director and you have money and you hire someone who does that. That's what they do. An actress is not there to put her hands on you.
So,
unless it's part of a scene, but that's different.
Yeah. And, you know, and there are some directors who put themselves in this cast just so they can get something like that.
Sure.
You know?
That's the old tradition.
Yeah, so it's just, I don't know. It showed off a really big creepiness to what was going on in Hollywood. I think at one point you asked me, like, why would Ben Affleck do this? I think there is that reason of, like,
I'm sure.
Maybe, you know, because it's really funny because, like, he unfortunately worked with Weinstein. He was friends with Weinstein.
Not a happy film to sit through, though. That's, you know, why I didn't finish it the first time.
Makes you feel gross inside. Because there, like, even at the end, it gets really gross because he finds that book that talks about a woman's love or something like that, and he's like, "Oh no!"
But and again, it makes you question: how are those the people that got into power in the first place?
Because they were lucky, you know. They worked their way up in some way or another. Because didn't you say you said like something about the stuff that he did before, and then he got his way to get up there?
Film processing. How does that give you a path to be a director or a producer?
I don't know. Just did, I guess, for him.
That's ridiculous.
I'm guessing that there was something in there. There's some story there.
As opposed to film school, that I make a few short films, then I make an independent film, and I can show everybody what I can do. And now,
I mean, maybe the writer guy that stars in the movie, maybe that's where he started. You know, film processing. I don't know. I don't really know much about the background.
It's clearly an indictment of the way Hollywood does things or did things. It's a little too on the nose as far as it making it a enjoyable experience.
Yeah, it's a more creepy experience.
It is.
This isn't a movie I'm gonna watch again. I don't think. But I'm glad I did watch it because it's Ben Affleck's short film directorial debut. He
and clearly it resonated with him, or else he wouldn't have done it.
I don't know, man. Maybe he did want to shine a light on how things were, but then, I said, later he worked with one of the worst.
Call him up and say, "Hey, Ben,
I don't know." After this, he may be
let's talk about.
You guys brought up one of the worst movies, one of the worst.
That's what we do at Indie Film Cafe.
Right.
Talk to us on the phone. Give us some insight as to why you decided to do this.
Yeah, we'll be like, I don't want to talk about that. Because a lot of filmmakers don't want to talk about their past. They just want to talk about the stuff they're doing currently. So they don't want to talk about that. And I get it, especially when it's something like this where it's rough, man.
But he's Ben Affleck. It ain't gonna hurt him. Please.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is still out there, So I mean, obviously, he can probably laugh it off and say, "Look, it was '93.
I didn't really recognize anybody. I don't know if any of those other folks went on to do other things.
I don't know if that. I've never heard of that J. Locopo guy, so no. I don't know.
None of
Can't say, but maybe he did. Maybe they all worked together or did something else later.
But even as far as a way of shining a light on something you don't necessarily want to see, I'm still not sure that a movie like that, or even a short film, could be done today like that. It's
because it feels too close to what it was like. I guess I don't know. It was rough, man, and I can kind of be, this is not something you want to show somebody like Ramaku.
No.
Or somebody.
I think she would understand, though.
She would understand it.
But she would hate it.
She would hate it, and she would be really upset that this is how people are, and that's scary to me. That this is something that could actually frustrate.
But
people.
It also distinguishes those people from, say, us or some of the other folks in the independent film community that don't do things like that.
Be interesting if some of those people who do stuff like that would like this movie, or whatever. So, anywho, that was it, I guess. Unless there's some more.
Well, that's about it.
I know.
Other than it was interesting. It's it's Ben Affleck, so this is a part of him I didn't know about until I heard about it, and then I was like, okay, with a title like that, I kind of was expecting more of a parody or something a little more funny, but that is not the direction it went.
It went dark. It went very dark and disturbing, but it's
unfunny. It's an
unfunny movie, yeah, and him yelling the whole time just drove me crazy. I was like, dude, inside voice.
That is a guy who needed to be punched in the face repeatedly.
I know, but unfortunately, guys like that get away.
Well, and that's just it. It's the sociopaths who end up, in command of a lot of things, especially in in Hollywood, but also in corporations. There's a reason why those people are the ones in charge, because they backstab their way up, and they're just shitballs, and they're like that to everybody.
Absolutely. So.
Unfortunately, you got to deal with people like that, and in Hollywood, at least back then, and if you want to navigate to where you want to be, these are the people you have to deal with. So.
And as you said, I was interested in seeing it because when I would look up Ben Affleck's career, and I was like, this is before he started directing stuff. I was like, has he ever directed anything?
Movie, the George Reeves one, that was really good.
Yeah, and then he went over and he made this to start with, and everybody's got to start somewhere, but do you really need to? I mean, could you not have found something else,
Yeah.
Or waited?
There had to have been a reason why he chose this versus anything else.
Oh well.
But in that time, he was still hanging around with Kevin Smith, right? So I wonder if Kevin Smith has any insights into.
No, in '93 he wasn't. No? He hadn't met Kevin until '95.
Oh, I thought he knew him
Which
earlier.
Is interesting. That '95 was when it got released, because Mallrats didn't get made till '95, and he actually auditioned for that movie.
I thought he knew him earlier than
No,
that.
because he had done in '93. He did a really big movie called Dazed and Confused, where he played the bully in that. And then the producers of that casting director brought him in for Mallrats, and he ended up playing the Buttman.
I have bully experience. I even had it in my first film that I directed.
Nice. There you go.
Nice. I wonder if but I do wonder if he showed it to him. You know, he must have seen it.
Oh, Kevin?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm wondering, like, because it said it released in 95. You know, that was what was in the credits. So I wonder if Kevin had some kind of help in getting it out there. Probably was like, this is my guess. Ben Affleck was like, Kevin, I directed a movie too, a short film. Do you want to see it? And Kevin watched it and he goes, this is bad, but you know what? Put it out there. You know what? You know, just get it out there.
I noticed there were other Afflecks. There was a Chris Affleck, but there was no Casey Affleck.
Was it Chris Affleck?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There was no Casey Affleck, so Casey.
So that was interesting.
And Casey would have been a child.
Yeah.
Back then. So anyway, we're very happy to have watched
Dug
all
this
of
it.
Watched it at least, you know, so we can comment on it.
Someone out there is probably Ben Affleck probably pays somebody to go through the internet and make sure that nobody goes near this movie, and if they do, they got a threatening letter saying cease and desist, talking about my film.
Here's the funny thing: we just did George Lucas in Love, which was a calling card and helped that guy skyrocket to whatever, you know, and everything, and he did stuff, but he is nowhere near the fame that Ben Affleck got.
Sure.
Because Ben Affleck actually co-wrote Good Will Hunting with Matt Damon. So they, won an Oscar for it, you know. So
That's all you need. That opens all the doors for you.
Well, I'm glad we got to
and shuts a few other doors in your past.
And this isn't like, remember we did that movie Mayday, that the student film that Kevin did. That was better than this movie. Like, I'd watch that one again.
More fun, anyway.
Yeah, I'd watch that one again. You know. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed our little chat about this, and join us next month
for something a little different.
For hopefully something different again.
Hopefully something that works.
Yeah, hopefully something better. We'll see. We will see. But until then, everybody.